Yeah, it's positive. I mean, that 35 level was important. The next level is like 37.50 in the spot. I think we touched 37.30 last week or so. So it looks positive, in my opinion, and that 35 level could be a floor now. But like what Taylor said, I hold silver as insurance, and it's a bit more like gold is more as a wealth preservation instrument. Silver is more like a bartering instrument. It could also preserve wealth. So I think the way I view silver, and I started buying silver like a little later than I started buying gold, is that I love the old silver coins. I also have bullion coins, and that's why I hold it, because it's a really nice metal, and just like gold. And but the key with silver is to have patience, because it's been very frustrating, because everyone expects silver just to go to the moon. But it's possible that it could do. But I would tell people, keep your expectations down, keep stacking silver, and if something does happen, it's just a cherry on top of the but not, of the ice cream or whatever. It's just a little extra. So that's how I see it. But in the fiat currency era since 1971, whenever you have a major blow-off or bull market, let's say in precious metals, silver comes late to the party, but then at the end it leads. So I think there's still a lot of potential for silver. You just need to be patient. I mean, it should already be doing that. It should be getting people in the West to look at silver, but unfortunately, there's a competitor right now, which is cryptocurrencies and bitcoins and all the altcoins. And we even seen the bankers and the powers that be getting involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So yeah, but it doesn't mean to say that people won't wake up to silver, but it's still early days. It just tells me that we're nowhere near a top in silver. But I think eventually one day people will realize the value of silver, even in the West. An ongoing process, mainly because unlike in the 1930s, early 1930s, gold is not part of the monetary system. So FDR, he did a reset on January 30th, 1934, and revalued the price of gold versus the currency, the dollar, from $20.67 to $35. So that was a reset there. At the time, the Dow gold ratio was around 2. And then the next reset was in 1980, and that was a market reset, just like we're seeing now. And in 1980, gold traded up above 850. The Dow was at 850. So the Dow gold ratio was 1-to-1. I think the Fed's balance sheet was 120% backed by gold. So gold was way overvalued. And we could start again inflating the system like they did for the next 40 years. So yeah, that's how I see it. And right now, for example, the Dow gold ratio is around 13. It has gone down a lot this year, but it has been around 11. I think it was beginning of April. It's now rebounded, but I think it's consolidating. And I expect that ratio to go to 1 in the next few years, the Dow gold ratio. As per triggers, I think it's already happened, really. The major one, I think, was when they froze Russia's reserves back in 2022, when the Ukraine-Russia conflict started. And yeah, that it's de-dollarization. Yes, there could be an event that like accelerates it. And like Taylor said, it's difficult to tell. There's a lot of candidates. Maybe even like what's happening now to the dollar, breaking this key support here on the dollar index, could be what sets it. It could be Trump nominating a very dovish chair of the Federal Reserve, There's rumors that he wants to come out early, like soon, and say who he's going to nominate, even though power is there until May next year. So yeah, that could be a trigger or some geopolitical event. We've got the BRICS summit in Rio, July 6th and 7th. They could announce something vis-a-vis gold and their monetary architecture. Not surprising. I think central banks are going to continue to accumulate gold. And we also saw recently that Italy and Germany, a lot of pressure groups there, want them to repatriate like $250 billion they hold with the New York Fed. So the faith and confidence in the dollar and the financial system in the U.S. is waning. I also saw a report from OMFIF. It's an independent think tank for central banking, and they did a survey as well, and they found that gold, the euro, and the yuan now are really picking up relative to the dollar. The dollar used to be the top pick in the previous survey last year. Now it's number 7. And one of the respondents to the survey, or actually the OMFIF, said that a lot of central banks plan to double down on acquiring gold. So I think it's going to get even that 1,000 tons that we've seen on average the last 3.5 years or so. That could be increasing quite a bit, I think. So yeah, I agree with Taylor. The fiat currency reserve system, because that's what it is, holding U.S. debt as reserve, is on its way out, and gold will be the beneficiary. Yeah, I guess it depends. What do you liquidate your gold for? I don't think I will ever liquidate a big amount of gold for fiat currency anymore, because even if gold goes parabolic, why would you want to? That means that the fiat currency system is dying. Why would you want to exchange it for dying currencies? But as you said, in the Weimar Republic, there's a story of a young man who got left a $20 gold piece, which is just under an ounce, and he was able to start a hotel business with that. I saw recently that Incrementum did a little analysis of the Porsche gold ratio, and you needed 235 ounces to buy a Porsche 911 in 2000. Now it's down to like 40. So yeah, maybe when it gets to 10, people might want to swap 10 ounces of gold for a Porsche, even though when that happens, the world will be a lot more unstable. There will be a lot more crime, so you might want to be careful with that. But like you said, there could be things like you want to buy a mansion or you want to buy land. That's never off the table, but in terms of savings, I think like you said in the questions that you sent us before this interview, that it's also generational wealth. You try to keep it for your children and grandchildren. I think that's also important.